friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Michaela, and in today's video we are going to be going over my top 25 books of 2025. So there's a lot to unpack here, so we're just gonna get straight into the video. I will give you a few tropes about the book, what the book is about, how I felt about it, what I rated it, and why you should read it. So we read 63 books in 2025, and I have 12 5 stars, which is crazy to me, sitting right here to talk to you guys about. So starting off nice and strong, we're going to go with Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams, and this was a complete 5-star read for me. So within this book, we have enemies to lovers, small town, and he falls first. Our main characters are Emily and Jack, and they just like are always at each other's throats, okay? They don't really get along, but you can tell it's like that tension that has potential. They work together, so workplace romance, okay? And he ends up moving away because he's getting married, and Emily's like low-key slapping herself because like she's upset that he's gone, but she doesn't understand why she's upset because, like I said, they always argued, they always had it out for each other, but she doesn't find herself upset when he leaves. But then he ends up coming back during the summer. He called his wedding off, nothing's going to plan, and he moves in right next door to her house.
My God, okay, it's happening.
One night, Emily is drinking a little bit too much wine and makes the silly mistake of sending her manuscript to her employer, her boss. Okay, she works at a school. The novel she's working on, because she's always aspired to be a writer, but the novel she's working on is kind of spicy. So not only would you not want your boss reading that, but you also would not want your boss at an elementary school, I think it's an elementary school, to be reading that because like, okay, there's boundaries here. So she enlists Jack to help her sneak into this guy's house and delete the manuscript. So within all this plotting and scheming, the two just grow really close, and it's just the most cutesy Gilmore Girl coded story ever because Emily is like the Rory of this town. It just gave Gilmore Girls to me, and I gave this book 5 stars. I read it super quick. I really enjoy Sarah Adams as an author, but this has to be my favorite book I've read of her so far. It's just so fun and quick and bingeable. So I definitely recommend this book if you just like fast-paced, flirty, angsty, cute romances, because like the plot in this book is just so cute because we love when enemies to lovers live next door because forced proximity, okay? There's so many good tropes within this book, and the way she sculpted both of these characters, I was madly in love. So the next book is one that quite literally made my summer last year. It was just the perfect book to be reading on the beach, and that is going to be Summer Romance, another 5-star, and I recommend this book to everybody. So I quickly fell in love with this book. It was just so good. The banter was perfect. The meet cute, let me tell you, okay, you wouldn't think of it as a meet cute, but the way she meets this guy is, okay, so she's a single mother, right? And her mom died 2 years ago, and then her husband left her, and it's just been like, it's been hard, okay? She's just been kind of like floating through life, letting it pass her by. And I think she has a moment of like clarity where she's like, I can't do this anymore. You know, I have to be there for my kids, all this stuff. And she ends up just like randomly, I don't know the correlation with this at all, but she goes to the dog park one day, okay? And her dog, like, I think he runs away from her or something, slips out her grip, what? And he runs over to this guy and he quite literally marks his territory. He pees on this guy. And there you have it, the meet cute. I thought it was so funny, and I just love the way she writes. And there were so many things in this book that I could relate to, and it was just so fun. So she knows that as a newly single mother, she doesn't really need a relationship. It's not something she's out looking for. But what can a summer romance hurt? She just loves the way this guy looks at her, and she decides to go full swing into this little summer thing, but as we know, it turns out to be so much more. I just love the way that they talk to each other and how real and open they are. And it was very bingeable. I love a quick read. That is something that if I can read it quickly, I don't want to put it down and it just gives me butterflies, it's probably going to be a 5-star. And this was that for me. I think I read like 75% of it on the beach one day because I could not put it down. It was so freaking cute, and I actually ended up buying all of her books after that, but I haven't read them because I want to read them this summer. Okay, the next 5-star read is going to be Pack Up the Moon by Christian Higgins. This book had me ugly crying. It's so beautiful. So Joshua and Lauren are married, and they're like, I think they're newlyweds, and they're just like super happy together. The way they treat each other, the way they love is beautiful. And they're doing great in life. She's got a great job. He's got a great job. they're happy. And then we find out that Lauren has a terminal illness.
But you can't do this to me.
So Joshua has to come to terms with the fact that Lauren doesn't have much longer. There is going to be a life without her, and he has to learn how to live it. And Lauren is like really worried about Joshua and how he's going to take this and how he's going to move on from it. And so she does him the diligence of writing a letter for every month up to a year after her passing to kind of help him maneuver through his grief and heal from it. So throughout this book, we go in between, you know, a few months before her passing, or I think maybe even a year before her passing, and then like a month after her passing, and a month or 2 months after her passing. And we just follow this journey with them while they're madly in love and happy and completely oblivious to the impending doom. And then we reach to where he's opening the first letter, and she just leaves him these tasks to kind of hold his hand through this journey of walking life without her. And it was so good. It was so beautiful and so heartbreaking. It made an impact on me, and I really loved it. And I think everybody who has read it has loved it. That's probably not accurate because that never happens. But a lot of people love this book, and I see why. That's what made me pick it up, seeing how much people talk about it, how much they recommend it. And here I am doing the same thing because it is so beautiful. Okay, so if you've been to my channel before, you've probably heard me talk about the 7-year slip.
They do this every year.
And the only reason I'm talking about it again today is because your girl finally had her first reread, and it was the 7-year slip. I was going through a crazy slump, and I mean, I only read 63 books last year when the year before I had read 99. So it was going really badly for me, and I just wanted to pull myself out of that slump, and a reread did it. So if you're in a slump, maybe reread one of your favorite books. It should help. But the reason this is a 5-star for me is because it's just so magical, and you can easily slip into this realm of magical realism and true love and just utter bliss, because this book will forever be one of my favorites. In this book, this girl, she is literally like besties with her aunt. Okay, they travel together, they explore the world together, they literally walk life together. And suddenly her aunt passes. So when her aunt does, it like wrecks her life, of course, because like this was her day one, like best friend, okay? And so her aunt ends up leaving her apartment, and she's always told her all her life, like, this apartment is magical, you know, like things happen in this apartment. It's not like any other place, it's magical. And she was always just like, oh, silly old aunt, she's just telling stories because I'm a kid and blah, blah, blah. But she was not joking. So she ends up finding out that her aunt was not joking when she wakes up and sees a strange man just hanging out in the living room. Kind of spooked her, right? Because what is this man doing here? And over time, she learns that he is 7 years from the past. We go through this journey of just like falling for somebody who is 7 years too late, you know, like 7 years into the past. How is that doable? You know what I mean? Ashley Poston's really good at doing that, because like you'll be reading her books and be like, how is this going to work out? Like, I see the potential, but how? I went crazy with this book, and when I reread it, it hit just as hard as the first time. It's one of those books that you could just pick up when you need to pick me up, and it does the job because it's literally perfect. Okay, so next, I'm not going to talk too deeply about this book because I don't care if you've never seen it. I don't care if you've never watched it. Everybody knows who this man is. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. I gave this book 5 stars, and guys, I was not prepared. So like I said, even if you haven't read it, you haven't watched it, you know who Harry Potter is. I went a long time without reading or watching it. When I read this series for the first time, I actually watched each movie after I finished reading it because I had never watched the movies before, which is crazy.
I didn't do it on purpose.
I can't say too much because this is literally the last book in the series, but if you think that Harry Potter is just something you wouldn't enjoy, you're not really into wizards, girl, I'm right there with you. Once I read this book, I understood the hype. I love the movies. I think I've seen all of them. Wow, way too many times to count. Like, I rewatch them all the time, and I will be rewatching them again this fall because it's just, it's so magical, and I love it, and I love all the characters, and there's so much depth to everything. Mind you, so much more within the books than in the movies. And the movies are great, they're perfection, but there's so much more within the books, which is generally the case, but it's like crazy with this book. I was so surprised. Please, if you haven't seen the movies, read the books first. If you've watched the movies and you absolutely love them and you have not read the books, girl, what are you doing? Please take it because you're missing out. Another book I won't talk too in depth about because it is part of a series, and I believe this is book 4. Nope, it's book 3, just kidding. But this is Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. This is another one, like, okay, it's probably possible that some people have not heard of Boris the Tommen, but if you're within the book community on Instagram or whatever, chances are you've heard of this book. So obviously this is a 5-star read for me. I loved Johnny. Okay, Johnny Kavanaugh is great. Those are the first 2 books, Johnny and Shannon. But something about Joey Lynch just stole my heart. Now, I don't say this too often because I don't know, I just personally don't get triggered too easily. But with these books, please, for the love of everything holy, read the trigger warnings because oh my god, it hurts so bad, but in a way that you can't stop reading. So Joey is quite literally in the trenches, okay? He has a drug abuse problem. He deals with a lot of stuff at home. Trigger warnings. Okay, but then he meets Aoife and he just madly falls in love with this girl, okay? And it's a beautiful love story, but also a story about what happens behind closed doors. You don't always know the whole truth of what's going on with somebody, and seeing it from Joey's perspective really just took it out of me. I have never cried so hard at a book. I have never like physically not wanted to flip the page because I was scared of what I was going to read, but it's so good. It's life-changing, and I think if you can handle it, you should read it. It's one of those books that just like, it sticks with you. I will never forget about Joey Lynch. I will never forget about Johnny Kavanaugh. I'll never forget about Gibbsy. None of them. I literally love all of them, and I'm avoiding reading Releasing 10 like the plague because apparently that's the worst one. And I have been through so much with these books that I can't even imagine there being worse. We're actually gonna talk about the next 3 as a whole unit because it is the Throne of Glass series. I feel like I'm reading too many back to back that I can't give you much to go on, but I'll give you the emotions, the feelings, the reasons you should read it. So Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight, I actually gave these 2 4 stars, but Queen of Shadows, let me just tell you. Obviously, this series has been very enjoyed by me. It is so good. I have not gotten to the point, I'm gonna be honest, and there's probably people that'll disagree with me, but some people say they enjoy this series more than A Court of Thorn and Roses. That has not been me yet. I do utterly love this series. It has been so good and I'm so invested and so obsessed, but I also feel like that's like nostalgic for me. They're right behind you. That's why I'm pointing that way, sorry. But that series is just so like nostalgic, and like there's so many memories attached to it, and like buddy reading and all this stuff. Not taking anything away from this series. This is what we're talking about. Get back on track. So Queen of Shadows, there's just so much that goes on, and this is like the most important structure book, I would say. I just feel like so many important things happen within this book that make it like a top tier in this series, if you know what I mean. Empire Storms was also great. This series as a whole is fantastic. I really enjoyed both of these. I really enjoyed The Assassin's Blade. Every book that I've read so far, I really enjoyed. So I think if you like fantasy, if you like badass FMCs that do not put up with anything, if you like assassins, princes, all these different things, this is the series for you. Sarah J. Maas does fantasy like no other, and I cannot wait to finish this book. I literally only have Kingdom of Ash left, but I am scared. I told everyone prayers and thoughts are welcome, and they're like, you're gonna need them. Thanks. So yeah, if you have not read Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, I highly recommend it. Bring some tissues and a pillow to scream into, because it is quite literally a roller coaster ride, but it's just so fun, and there's so many things like I constantly think about when it comes to these characters. The way they're sculpted was beautiful. It'll make you cry, it'll make you laugh, it'll make you scream, it'll have you on the edge of your seat every single time. Next book is going to be The Perfect Marriage. This is a thriller, and there are so many different opinions on this book, but I freaking loved it. In this novel, this husband and wife, they are like so unhappy. It's actually disgusting. They do not really tolerate each other much, but she is a criminal defense attorney, and Adam, he's a failed author, okay? And he's actually been having an affair for 2 years? Yeah. My disappointment is immeasurable. For 2 years with this woman, okay? And then she just ends up dead. So who do you look at first? The affairee, the affairer. The guy that's cheating, you get it. So that's the first person they look to, obviously, when this girl ends up dead, may I add, in their lake house, in Adam and Sarah's lake house. Like, come on, who else do you think they're gonna look at? You got 2 options, okay? So they arrest Adam immediately. What is his wife? What did I say earlier? She's a criminal defense attorney.
Here I come. Oh.
So she decides to defend her husband through trial and try to like clear his name, be like, no, he didn't do this. And it is the most engrossing, captivating story ever. I absolutely loved it. I didn't see the plot twist coming from a mile away. It's insane. I thoroughly enjoyed this book way more than the second book. The second book was good. It's just like, I don't know. You know how sometimes you feel like a book could just like end and be a standalone, and then you get another one and it's just like not as good? That was me with this series. But the first one is so worth the read. I just found it so good, and it was another one that you can just continue to read, stay up all night, finish the book, be gasping and just in utter shock staring at a wall. I recommend this to everyone who enjoys a good thriller. There are mixed opinions on it, but as a frequent thriller reader myself, I really liked it. Okay, so the next book is going to be Rebel Witch, and I will kind of explain to you the first book in the series, which is Heartless Hunter, because I don't want to give anything away. So in book one, we have the hunter and the huntress, okay? So somebody has been saving witches, and Gideon Sharp, he's not cool with that because his literal job is to get rid of all witches, okay? They're not allowed in this town. They're deeply frowned upon, and his job is to off them, you know, get them out of this world, send them to the next, if you get what I'm saying. And he comes across a big problem. Somebody is like literally sneaking into the places he's holding these witches captive, and they're snagging them up and they're saving their life. Good, okay? But he doesn't like that because that's literally against everything he's trying to do. And so he is hunting down this huntress when the huntress is our beloved Rune Withers. Winters, what are you talking about, bro? So they kind of get into this thing in book one where they're like courting each other because she wants to throw him off her scent, and he is like curious, like, I kind of have suspicions about you, you're suspicious, I think it's you, but I'm not sure. So they start like courting each other, and it's just like this back and forth cat and mouse game. And I swear to God, I've read quite a bit of fantasy, I would say. Nothing has ever been like complete pedal to the metal like this. You start the book and it's literally going until the end. So this truly has to be one of my favorite fantasies I've ever read. It's so freaking good, and when I figured out that this was just a duology and not at least a trilogy, I was brokenhearted.
Come on, man.
Because it's so good and I didn't want it to end, though it did, and I still think about it all the time. I will probably reread them and tab them at some point because they're just that good. So the next book is one that I actually started my year with last year, and I still think about it because it's just one of those books that truly leaves a stamp on your soul, and you just carry it with you through every day. And that is going to be The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is another author that I read one of her books and then bought so many more. She kind of shines a light on these two women that are sisters, and they are separated by years of experience, by ideals, passion, and circumstance, each embarking on their own dangerous path toward survival, love, and freedom in German-occupied, war-torn France. A heartbreakingly beautiful novel that celebrates the resilience of the human spirit and the durability of women. It's a novel for everyone, a novel for a lifetime, because it's that painstakingly good. I'm gonna pretend that painstakingly is what I meant to say. Don't know where that word came from, but we're moving on.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I don't know, this book just, it really had me in my feels, and I took so long to start it because, I mean, it's kind of intimidating. I think it's around like 500 pages, but once you start it, you're just so invested in the story and seeing where it will go that you don't really care how long it is. Yeah, 567. But you're just like so blown away, and like, I found myself reading this book and thinking like, you know, we take classes in school about history and the things that occurred. Why did I never hear about a lot of this? Or like, you know it's bad. You knew it was bad in history, but this just makes it more apparent, more like right in front of your face. Like, this is what was going on. This is what was happening. This is what humans were dealing with. It is a beautifully written novel, and I just think that everyone should read it. I mean, it's just so good, and it's something that will stay with you. So The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I need to read more of her books because so good. Okay, so the next book. This has to be, I guess, along with The Perfect Marriage. I'm not gonna choose between them, okay, because they're both 5 stars. But That's Not My Name by Megan Lally was one of my favorite reads of last year because I picked it up. So many people were talking about it. I was like, it has to be good, but I didn't expect it to be as amazing as it was. So one night, a teen wakes up on the side of the road, bruised, battered, all these bad things. She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know where she is. And she gets picked up by a police officer. And so obviously they're trying to figure out, where did this girl come from? Who is she? And they're like really getting no leads until this frantic man rushes in the police station, is like, oh my God, that's my daughter. He has her birth certificate, her driver's license, and like family photos and stuff like that. And he says he's her dad, and her name is Mary, okay? That's all you get on the synopsis for that. So we're gonna move on to the second half of the story, which is Drew and his girlfriend Lola are having an argument one night, parked by this lake or whatever. So she gets out of the car, slams the door, and starts walking home. The next day, Lola is missing. Nobody has seen her, heard from her, or really had any proof of life since the night before when she was with Drew. So like in The Perfect Marriage, who's your first suspect? It's usually always a significant other. Okay, and so everybody thinks that Drew killed his girlfriend. She's gone, can't find her, and rather than try to like clear his name and like save his reputation, Drew just wants to find Lola. Like, this ended on bad terms, but he wants to find her, make up for this, and you know, have his loved one close to him, okay? But she's missing. Nobody can find her. And he's just like, guys, I can't deal with y'all hating me and thinking I'm a murderer right now because I have to find my girlfriend before, you know, it's too late. And so he goes on this wild ride of trying to find Lola, and the two stories intertwine, and you have so many like thoughts and theories of where the story is going to go. I would have never guessed. I can't say oftentimes that thrillers have made me cry, but this book had me crying. I was so invested in these characters and their story and where this was going that when we got to the end, I just slowly closed the book and I was like, please tell me I did not just read that, because what? The story is just perfectly crafted and I really think you would enjoy it. I really did. It was great. My last 5 stars is going to be Say You Remember Me by, surprise, surprise, my girl, Abby Jimenez. So in this book, Samantha is just at a point in her life where she's not looking for like love. Her family has so many things going on right now that she just can't fathom trying to have a relationship and building something new with somebody when she already has so many things going through her mind, going on at home. Her life is just kind of up in the air right now. And so she's not looking for that, but she ends up going on a date one night with this broody, low-key asshole of a veterinarian, but then she realizes he's more than just a sexy veterinarian or low-key asshole. He is so freaking good, and the date that they have, it's just like, it's the ones you see in the rom-com movies, and it's just like one of those ones you're like, I want to do that, or I want that type of love. As badly as she wants to forget this day and how it felt and how he was and just how happy she felt, how light she felt in that moment, she can't forget, and neither can he. I think Abby Jimenez just simply writes the most swoon-worthy romances. She has never failed me. I love her books every single time, and this one has to be like up there with the top faves. Of course, yours truly will forever be my favorite Abby Jimenez. I can't see that being taken off as star one. I really can't. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to 4-star reads, and 4 stars are like close. They want to be a 5-star. They want to so bad, but there's just that little tidbit that's missing.
Oh, you almost had it.
Okay, so first and foremost, Next of Kin by Hannah Bonam-Young. She has quickly became one of my favorite authors. Everything I read by her has just so much heart and soul put into the book, and you feel that as you read the words. Within this book, we have Chloe and Warren, and Chloe has just learned that her birth mother, that she doesn't really have a great relationship with, has had another child and quite frankly cannot take care of it. She has drug issues and just CPS is not gonna stand for her keeping this child. And so Chloe wants to obviously take in this baby and just raise it, you know, give it a good home life, love it, you know? And when she goes to CPS and she's like, you know, this is what I want to do, I want to take the child in and raise it, they automatically tell her no, because they take in so many things into consideration: where you live, what your job is, how much money you make. And I think she didn't make enough money, and so she shut down immediately. But they have this program where you can like partner with somebody else that's in the same situation as you, and combined you have the assets to be able to take on this challenge. And so she is combined with Warren, and he is trying to get, I almost said possession, that does not sound right. He wants to get guardianship, that's better, of his 10-year-old brother, I believe that's how old he is. But anyway, he wants to get guardianship of his brother so that he can raise him, because he's also just not in a good situation. And so these two have to move in together. They have to be like a makeshift family, you know, and live together and raise these children together and give them a better place to be. And in this story, we get to follow this little like found family dynamic, and it was so good. I love both of them. This book was really freaking good, and anything by Hannah Bonam-Young. If you are trying to find like a new really cutesy romance, but with so much depth and there's so much like uniqueness to the story, this is your girl. But yeah, I mean, their main goal is the kids at the end of the day, but they start having this like mutual flirtation and attraction or whatever, and they're like playing with fire. They're like, do we entertain this, or do we not risk the damage that we could cause if this doesn't go good and like we could lose like what we're trying to obtain here. So this is a beautiful story. I think everyone should read her books, and this one was just so different and like a breath of fresh air. Okay, the next book is like a hear me out book. So I had heard about this book a lot, okay, but it seemed like it was like a little too dark for me. It's not even dark. It's not a dark romance. It's just like a taboo romance. So with that being said, no other than Sarah Kate. Praise is her first book in the Salacious Players Club, and like I said, hear me out. Okay, so we start the book, right? And this girl is breaking up with her douchebag, let's be frank, of a boyfriend. And she's like, she just wants like her money back. So he's like, well, if you want it, you can go get it from my loser of a dad. And so obviously she's gonna go get her money. And so she shows up to get her money from this guy, right? And he thinks that she's not, like, he doesn't know that that's his son's girlfriend, right? Because they don't talk like that. And so he thinks she's a worker, take that as you will, and treats her as such. And so she's just like, he's like, drop it, and she's just like, okay. And then she realizes like, he must not know who I am right now, okay? And so she ends up like saying like, this is why I'm here. I used to date your kid. And he's like, oh, that's weird. Here you go, please get out of my house. But she cannot leave his mind. Like, he cannot get this girl out of his mind. Do you see how like enthusiastic I'm getting over this book? It was so good, okay? So everybody in the Salacious Players Club has a specific thing that they're into, okay? And his is being a dominant and having a submissive. And within this book, you got a ex-boyfriend's dad, okay? You have a, you know, and just so many, like a workplace romance. Take that as you will, okay? And it's just so good. Like, it's so good. Like, this book. So the next book is going to be my favorite book within the Rose Hill series, and it is Wild Eyes by Miss Elsie Silver. So within this book, you have a single dad. Okay, if you know me and you watch my channel for a little bit, you know that's like up there. That's one of my favorite tropes, okay? So not only do you have a single dad, but you have this like huge, famous country star that is just looking to get away for a little bit. She has some things going astray in her life and just needs a little reprieve, a little breath of fresh air, if you will. And so she escapes to this beautiful town of Rose Hill, and that's where she meets the single dad. He does have a name, it's Weston Belmont, and he's quite literally my favorite in the series. I literally got my best friend to binge this series, I think in a week, because it's that good. So obviously she's like really taken with this guy as soon as she sees him, because the way they meet is really cute. Just everything about them screams authenticity, if that makes sense. Like, everything just seems really real about them, the way they carry themselves, the way they talk to each other, because they literally meet when she breaks down on the side of the road, right? And she's trying to like pet this cow, and he's like, you literally can't do that. But she's questioning it. Can she really give up everything she's worked for and made to stay in this small town with this horse trainer?
Oh, by the way, I was being sarcastic.
Well, duh.
She's really in her head about it, and we go back and forth, but in the end, we all know what happens. But that's not the point. It's the journey. It's the road there that is entertaining. That is why we read the books, because when you pick up a romance book, okay, sometimes you don't know what you're gonna get, but like the majority of the time. Okay, the next book is going to be Fearless by Lauren Roberts. Also one that I can't get too in depth about, but I will tell you about the first book in the series. So the first book in the series is called Powerless, and we have Peyton Gray and Kai Azar. Okay, and she is ordinary, and in this kingdom, we don't like ordinaries. We actually kill them off because we think that they are bad for us. They're not good for the community, okay? And they're like sickly or whatever. People think they're like a disease, and us elites are way too good for that. We have powers. We are above all. And so Kai's job as the enforcer is to round up these ordinaries, get rid of them, you know the deal. But Peyton has lived her life portraying and pretending to be an elite. And so we have these trials, okay? And within the trials, it's a bunch of elites that are gathered together as a group, and they go through each trial trying to prove who is the most elite, because you know that's all that matters from this kingdom. Well, one day on the streets, Mr. Kai here is about to get robbed, and she saves him. And so within doing this act, they're like, oh, she has to be elite because no ordinary could do that. And so she actually gets thrown into the trials, and you watch her fight for her life, quite frankly. So the brutal competition exists to showcase the elite's powers, but that's the very thing that Peyton lacks. If the trials and the opponents within them don't kill her, the prince she's fighting feelings for certainly will if he discovers what she is: completely ordinary. So Powerless is insanely good, and I swear it just gets better. Like, Reckless was really good. That's the second book. I really enjoyed it. And then this is Fearless. This is the third book in the series, and the plot twist was unfathomable, but it just gets worse because there's so many plot twists and turns that come from within this book. I like kept finding myself like putting the pieces together, and I was like, oh my god, she doesn't know, who's gonna tell her? Because oh my god. So if you want a fantasy that is going to keep you on your heels 24/7, I totally recommend the Powerless trilogy by Lauren Roberts. So the next two books to discuss are within the Windy City series by Liz Tomforty, and it's Play Along and Rewind It Back. These are quite literally my favorite two in the series. So in this book you have a baseball player, and in this book you have a hockey player. That's my favorite. This book is actually a drunken romance, and they end up going to Vegas for, you know, sports stuff. And Isaiah has been madly obsessed with Kennedy for a very long time. He recently found out she was single, and he flirts like there's no tomorrow. So when they end up in Vegas and they're drinking a little bit, they end up getting married because obviously she has to have some type of feelings towards him in that regard to marry him, or maybe she just drank that much. But when they wake up the next day and realize their mistake, they realize that they also have to stay married to portray this and not like ruin his reputation. And so you have this like fake marriage type deal going on, and through that these two just really get to know each other. And Kennedy and Isaiah were like two of my favorite characters. So Rhiannon and Haley, okay, these two are my favorite because it's like a second chance romance, and I truly love those because when she was a young girl, she had a crush on this guy. It only grew stronger. They fell for each other, and then they shattered each other's hearts, to be frank. And 6 years later, I think, she lands an internship in a new city. So her job is to be a renovator. So her job is to renovate homes, and guess whose home she lands the renovation for? It's him. Okay, so she is expected to, you know, do this job as she would any other and renovate this home to her best ability. But when she sees that it's Rio, that makes it very difficult for her because obviously there's still some like underlying feelings. You can't just get over a love like that. And it just brings up a lot of old stuff, and he's obviously like still completely and utterly obsessed with her, which I love. And it's a forced proximity romance because she ends up moving into the house next door. And it's also like a workplace romance because at the end of the day, she's supposed to be renovating his house for him. That is her job. And he just likes watching her do it because as long as she's close, he's happy. So there's just so many like small details within this book that scream romance, and I freaking love it. I was addicted to this book the whole time. It's my favorite out of the series. I would highly recommend this series as a whole because it, like, in my opinion, it just gets better with every single book. Hence why the last book is my favorite. The next book was actually my first BK Borison book, which is First Time Caller. I read this last year and utterly fell in love with it. So Aiden Valentine is the host of Heartstrings. It's this radio talk show where they just talk about love and all these things. They have callers that call in, and then one night he gets a call and it's this girl asking for like advice for her mom because she wants her mom to find love again. And that is when Lucy Stone enters. Lucy Stone honestly thought she was like perfectly fine. You know, she has a good job, she has a great family, she has a good life, you know, it's fine. So as she starts questioning like if she's truly happy and all this, she gets thrust into the limelight along with Heartstrings, and they become like co-host almost in a way where she would come on, they do these specials of like trying to find Lucy love and finding the man for Lucy, and men would call in that think they're interested in Lucy and they would go on dates, and it's just like, I don't know, it was the cutest, like, unique idea for a book. So Lucy is put in the position to decide, does she want to be with the man on the other side of the line, talking to her and, you know, taking her on dates, or the man sitting directly across from her that she has started to feel sparks fly between, because they have this undeniable, like, chemistry going on, and I ate it up. So the next book is also a 4-star, and that is going to be The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. I read this book because Tiffany talks about it all the time, and I had to see what it was about. This book was really, really good, and just like one of those books that you could just sit there and just devour in one sitting. It is a wedding planner who was left at the altar. The irony is not lost on you. But despite that embarrassing blip from her past, Lena's offered an opportunity that could change her life. There's just one thing. She has to work with the worst best man. So Mark Hartley is determined to make his mark with this hotel client looking to expand its brand, but then he learns he'll be working with his brother's whip smart, stunning, absolutely off limits ex-fiance, and she loathes him. It was really hard to get out of my mouth, but like, enemies to lovers, hello. If they can nail their presentation without killing each other, they'll both come out ahead, except Max has been public enemy #1 ever since he encouraged his brother to jilt the bride, and Lena's ready to dish out a little payback of her own. So obviously there's some tension there because he's the reason she was left at the altar. Soon Lena and Max discover animosity may not be the only emotion creating sparks between them. Still, this star-crossed couple can never be more than temporary playmates because Lena isn't interested in falling in love and Max refuses to play runner-up to his brother ever again. The banter, the tension, everything about this book was so good, and the whole time you're just screaming for these two to like put your differences aside. Like, yeah, you almost married my brother and I'm the reason you did it, but like, holla at me. So if you're a romance reader, chances are you've heard of Lynn Painter. In my opinion, The Love Wager is probably one of her best pieces of work. So within this book, Haley and Jack have like this one night stand, and she ends up like literally army crawling out of this hotel room because she's embarrassed. She's like, I need to get my life together. I need to find something real, something that's not like, you know, so brief, okay? And she decides to join this dating app, and who does she see on there? No other than the one night stand Jack. So after determining like they don't really have feelings for each other, they decide to make a wager. Who can find love first? So they always plan their dates on the same nights, and if the date doesn't go well, the agreement is to go to the taco bar near and have some tacos and just like talk about their dates, what went wrong. They're like best freaking buds, okay? And they're determined to beat each other, quite frankly. So they eat a lot of tacos together, right? Because these dates just aren't going well. I wonder why. But all bets are called off when they have to spend a weekend together pretending to be a couple for like a whole wedding shindig, okay? And tensions fly, okay? Sparks are made, chemistry is shared, things are going on, and they realize like this may be more than a friendship, but you also have to take the leap and the risk of, you know, possibly losing one of your best friends for the prospects of having a good relationship. But they have such a solid foundation, and I love them so much. I just thought it was really interesting to go like on all these different dates, see how they went, always meet up for tacos after, and the slow build of this relationship, and then them being squished together for a weekend, fake dating, because I love fake dating, and just seeing how everything like came together and the way their love built slowly over time. I loved it. And I love a friends to lovers, and I love something with a little bit of pressure in it. So the fact that they had this wager and they felt like one of them needed to win first, it just made it that much better. And I really love this book. So chances are you've also heard me talk about Tegan Hunter a time or two on this channel. Well, Face Off by Tegan Hunter has to be my favorite so far in the Seattle Serpent series. In this book, Lawson has two goals, okay? He wants to stay single, but he also wants Rory to admit that she doesn't absolutely loathe him. And so the more time they spend together, he realizes like, okay, like I might really like this girl, but she just thinks he is like the craziest playboy. She's not interested in that aspect at all, okay? But the way that I love how Tegan Hunter writes romances. Tegan Hunter is what made me fall in love with hockey romances and made it one of my favorite sport romances. I said romances a lot right there. It's just so good and so bingeable. Like, I don't know what it is about her books. She puts something in them, but every single time I pick one up, I read it so fast. So one night he just finds a stray dog roaming the streets of Seattle. So he does a decent guy thing and he takes it to the vet, and he meets the grumpiest veterinarian who's just like not playing his game. She's not interested. And that's how they meet. And from there, it just like, it evolves and it gets so good. I will forever read anything this woman writes because every single time it's a steal and I end up loving it. But this has to be my favorite. If you're looking for hockey romances, Seattle Serpents, okay, Carolina Comets, anything written by Tegan Hunter, it's really good and I enjoy it every single time. Okay, so the last book that I want to talk about is actually a 3-star, which for me, 3-star does not mean I did not enjoy it, obviously, or we wouldn't be talking about it. It wouldn't be a top 25, okay? But it's just, I don't know, I feel like it's an honorable mention because it is a book adaptation and I liked the adaptation more than I liked the book. I know you're probably throwing rocks at me right now because who says that? What reader will say that out of their mouth? Me. Because although I did enjoy this book, we were liars. The show, I think I've already watched it like 5 times. So within this book, we have the Sinclairs, okay? And they are American royalty. They're the perfect family. There are no criminals. There are no drug addicts. There's nothing but perfection. Blonde hair, blue eyes. That's how this family runs, okay? They're literally the, I don't know, the elites of society, okay? They're who everybody wishes they were, who everybody wants to be. So obviously those families are usually the craziest. So every summer this family escapes to their private island, okay? And they just have the perfect summer, okay? They've grown up together. They're like best friends. It's the tightest knitted group. I don't know if I said that right, but it's just so good, okay? And I was really enjoying it and it was so good, but I didn't start like, oh my God, I love this, until probably about 80 or 90% into the book. And if you've read it or if you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. That, like stuff like that just really pulls me in. Like every single time, every book, movie, show I've watched that has that, it just like, I could be sitting at a 2-star and if that happens, I'm going up because it was so much, like, it really intrigues me. I'm just like, how did you How'd you do that? Even if you're not interested in this book, please for the love of God watch the TV show, because yes, this book was really good, but the way they portrayed these characters and they took the words off this page and put it on that screen is so good. Oh, I forgot to tell you like the main part, okay? So one summer, okay, she gets like really hurt. Like it's really bad. Like she is messed up and nobody can tell her what happened. She can't remember what happened. And so she's just trying to find out this whole book, what happened to her. How did I not mention that? We follow Cadence and Claire in this book and just try to find out what happened to her and just enjoy the dynamic of this group and the beach and just like their life as a whole. But having that little like suspense aspect to it really made the book, especially the show. Oh my God. So that is going to be all 25 books that I want to discuss with you today. I knew we were going to be here for a while. We're literally sitting at an hour and a half of me yapping about books. But if you made it this far in the video, congratulations. I hope that you got something from this video. There are so many good books. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you were like feeling this video, okay? If you were vibing with it, because there's more coming, okay? Because I'm getting back into this. We're not taking an 8-month hiatus again. So anyways, you guys know the drill. I love you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your days or nights or wherever you're doing, wherever you're at. On that note, because I'm gonna start stuttering. Bye! I literally rearranged all my shelves for you guys yesterday, so you're welcome. I'm so nervous, but I'm so excited because I've missed you guys and I hope you've missed me. So this story tells us this story tells the story, in case you're wondering. Hear me out.